Hello and welcome for the last time to London for the PKR.com London Cash Game. 15 pros and qualifiers have been duking it out at our 6-seater table, fighting every flop, turn and river for the chance to steal their opponent's cash and, most importantly, the bragging rights.
The creative raised that by Chantler with just 10-6, and here comes the continuation bet.
Player 5 bets 80.
No, we're ready for Hemsworth to go. So excellent play again from Chantler, who at the moment is running over this table. And he puts it down.
Yeah, he's got away with it. Great
well played, Will Dorey. That was excellent. Yet again, an example of how the worst hand wins. Well, how do you fancy making a straight on the river just to make sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Mark's confident he has the best hand now if he wasn't before that.
A nice welcome back to the table.
Without further ado, let's join our commentators.
Here are your players then. In seat 1, it's a return for Scott Gledhill. Needs to make up for that 960 loss he suffered earlier. Sofia Lovgren, she's down nearly $1,800. In seat 3, Will Dorey, 1660 to the good. Next to him, Simon Hemsworth, also showing a very healthy profit. In seat 5 is Mark Chantler, who's really impressed so far. 15-15 to the good with not many cards, really. And in seat 6, Marc Barillet from France. Scott Shelley is alongside me in the commentary box. We've both been really impressed with Mark Chantler's play so far, Scott, and he hasn't really had particularly good holdings. He's just been ultra aggressive.
Yeah, I think literally, I can't remember a hand of his going to showdown. I mean, apart from when he's won maybe small pots with ace high and stuff. Apart from that, he's been taking it down before showdown, which is always a good thing.
Gledhill has woken up with a pair of 9s here.
Pass seat 4.
Very cool. Yeah, would be a lot more action.
Call seat 5.
Gledhill is predominantly an Omaha player, which, as we all know, is a drawing game.
Yeah, that'd be good.
This is probably the longest Hold'em session he's played this year.
Is that right?
I'd imagine it is. It's got to be close anyway.
Check seat 5.
Might be the only Hold'em.
Well, Will Dorey has flopped good here. He's made trip 10s. A straightening board, though.
$115, seat 3. Pass seat 5, pass seat 6.
First hand.
And seat 1.
Are you running good at the moment, Scott?
Little fish are sweet for Will Dorey. He's been very impressive also, Scott, I think. He's got a very good demeanour at the table, hasn't he? Nothing seems to rattle him at all.
Yeah, that's one thing I've always said about Will. His presence at the table is really, really good. And for someone that I don't think's had that much live experience the last few years, it seems like he's been playing it for decades.
Strategy
Work for our
6.
family business.
Yeah.
Crumb mining. No.
What'd you say?
I remember for the WPT National, I was on his table all day one, and he kept himself really well the whole day.
They make a product called chocolate crumb. And
Well,
I thought this was
he's just had a pocket pair. Gledhill, now he's got a bigger one.
It's just because you love saying the word.
Yeah.
Are you
And Dorey has the 9s.
They call you the prince of something.
Yeah, Prince of Malpas.
It's a sick nickname.
Barillet with the straddle here.
Seat 3. Pass seat 4.
Music to Gledhill's ears. That
Pass seat
re-raise from
6.
Dorey.
Clean my bathroom if you're on arrival.
Yeah, he's got to be happy with that. See how he's going to let to play it.
You should have that. You should have one of those rooms that's only
350,
only
seat
on
1.
the Prince of Malpas visits.
It would never be good
You
enough.
can open the room. And
Now, is that re-raise just advertising his strength? Or is Dorey thinking, well, hang on, maybe he just doesn't trust me, he thinks I've got a weak holding and he's trying to buy the pot?
Yeah, I mean, usually a 4-bet would mean he's got a strong hand and he's trying to get it in. But against someone like Will, it might be that he's just trying to buy the pot back. I mean, they know each other quite well, so their images are quite obvious to each other.
Well, that ace might slow the action down a bit.
Yeah. I mean, Scott's always going to bet this flop. We'll see how Will reacts.
475, seat 1.
Saying to Dorey, I have the ace. We know he doesn't, but when you're sitting in Dorey's seat, what are you thinking here? If he's got a bigger pocket pair, you beat. If he's got ace anything, you beat.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not really many hands that he's doing that unless he's got like a complete bluff.
We just show him one.
Show a bluff. Skip the game.
Not the flop Scott wanted to get value out of the nines. Definitely a lot of boards he would have got a bet, at least 1 or 2 bets out of Will there.
I like your head.
Barty's recovered some of the losses that he suffered earlier.
Obviously not reciprocal.
Thank you. No, this is my worst side, to be honest. It will sit the other side.
Oh!
Nah, the felt's fine over it.
Oh no.
60, seat 2. Yeah, 60. Pass, seat 3.
Well, this time Lovgren's woken up with a pocket pair, and Hemsworth
seat
with the
4.
3s. Chantler's never passing that.
Nah, nice little royal flush draw.
4, seat 5. Pass, seat 6. Pass, seat 1.
I suck.
Oh, what, sorry?
Pretty dry
Check
flop
seat
that.
5. Check seat 2. Check seat 4.
Surprised maybe that Sofia didn't at least ask a question there.
Yeah, she's going to be really pleased with that turn card, to be fair.
85.
I mean, it's probably without hitting a jack, it's like the nut turn card for her.
Chantler, of course, with the flush draw now.
Yeah, and with her
Four,
checking back the
2.
flop, he's going to take the initiative, bet the turn with his
And
flush draw.
pass.
She's going to be happy making the call there all day. Interested to see if Mark bluffs at this.
$380 in there. So it's going to be at least 200, you would think.
5, seat 5.
Wow.
Oh, I like it.
Big overbet
Yeah,
here.
this is really good.
And if you're sitting in Lovgren's seat, I mean, your jacks shrink up massively.
Yeah, he's polarised his bet here by overbetting. I think he's repping either a queen or better or nothing. With a smaller bet, he may have been value betting like a worse pair than jacks, but now it's really unlikely that's the case. It looks like it's a queen better or what it is, which is a misdraw. Sofia going into the tank a little bit.
Well, if she can call this, it would be a superb read. Not sure I could call here in this spot.
Yeah, it's a really tricky spot. Wonder if she's thinking about that she's down in the game already and it's either going to recuperate a lot of her losses or increase them.
The longer she thinks.
Yeah, she's made the call.
That's a terrific call. And finally, it's taken a long, long time,
Yeah.
but he's been caught, Chantler. What a call from Lovgren.
Yeah, he's really unlucky there. I really love his oversized bet there on the river.
Wasted energy.
Yeah, so I know.
You can tell he's a bit frustrated that most of his profits gone down the drain now.
The lights. Yeah. I can see you making some strange faces.
My face is a little bit strange.
Lovely. I think it's lovely.
Thanks.
Well, he's taken it pretty well.
Saw your brother's
I think
Facebook
he
video,
respects
Sophia. The line
that
the
kind of a
invitation one.
real gutsy call
It was
from
good.
an opponent, albeit he obviously wanted her to muck him, but
Oh, yes.
Where was it?
I think there's a fair amount of mutual respect around this table.
Yeah,
Scott.
for sure.
nice?
Sure.
Pass, seat 4.
Everyone knows each other. They all play their trade in the same way, so
What
it's
else has he done?
60, seat 5.
Sorry?
definitely a lot of respect out there for each other.
They've just lost a decent sized pot, and Chantler comes back raising
Yeah.
again with a monster with his 8-4.
Yeah, like
And pass.
you know when it's like glass, when it's like Johnson with clothes.
Yeah.
Like both me in the glass there.
Like a mannequin.
Feels like he's lost a tenner and found a pound.
Right, exactly.
That sounds good.
Yeah,
How old is he?
he's 21. He's coming tonight actually. Yeah.
Straddle seat 3.
That's brilliant.
Pass seat 4. 60 seat 5.
Big hand here for Mark. Could be a battle of the marks here.
170 seat 6.
Well, that's a good lesson for amateurs. Not just calling with a modest holding like Queen 8, but actually raising it.
3.
Yeah, it's a good hand to free bet because in position, if you do get called, it's a hand that's going to flop quite well a lot of the time. But not only that, if you do get 4-bet, it's an easy decision whether to either continue as a bluff or to throw your hand away. You're not in a tricky spot with like a pair of 10s or an ace-jack. Oh wow, it's looking good for the Queen 8 of clubs.
And with the insurance of the draw, will make it a lot easier for Farrelly to
Seat 5.
continue here.
Yeah, I think the fact that Mark's got the ace of clubs definitely going to mean he's going to peel this flop a lot of the time. Oh wow.
Pass seat 5.
Show one, show one.
One bet was enough.
Flush draw, mate.
Oh, that's good play from Farrelly. He needed a pot too. Things not going quite so well for Mark Chantler. Welcome back to the PKR London Cash Game. I'm Trevor Harris alongside Scott Shelley here. And interesting to see, Scott, how Chantler has folded that hand, but how he reacts, because so far he's been on such a winning run, such a rush, and all of a sudden he's lost a couple of hands, and that momentum, it can go as quickly as it arrives in poker.
Yeah, for sure. It's quite nice to see that he's straight back at it, back on the horse, opening pots as he has been throughout the game. I mean, some people might have thought, all right, maybe let's quiet down a bit. They caught me, but now he's straight back out there, mixing it up.
Pass seat 4.
Can I see that one?
And pass seat 1.
7. Oh my gosh.
Well, Dorey taking a leaf out of Chantler's book, raising up with 8 high.
Straddle seat 5.
I remember that session.
Chantler straddling, so that's $20.
Yeah. Since you're the same, I lose like.
Means there's 35 in there
Every
before the
time
get-go.
someone comes over, I'm wrong good, and they have to leave. I'm like, yeah, this is how it normally is. Just like, yeah. People think I'm just like destroying them at non-showdown and just running through.
Alright, 50.
Nine is huge though.
Sophia in with the Kojak.
Pass seat 3.
No limit.
Call seat 4.
Simon's coming along, suited king.
Sure.
And there's Mark
Seat
with the
5.
mighty 5 high.
This is what we like, a nice family pot. $200 plus in the middle. 4
You
players.
just think you're an idiot.
Yeah, I don't really. DV doesn't really tell me.
Yeah, that's
Like
what
losing
I had a weird feeling he was going to flop a straight there. It was close. See, that's what the ace do, so I was like, oh. Simon with the nut flush draw.
The Chantler is actually ahead at the moment, albeit it's a pretty tenuous lead.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Gonna bet
like
it though,
Seat 5.
I like
Pass
Simon's
seat
hand in the
6.
long run here.
for sure.
And pass seat 2.
Got the betting lead. He's actually got his percentage edge here with his hand. Not anymore though.
Check seat 4. Check seat 5.
Well, Chantler can't know with any confidence that he's ahead. His hand actually is
Check
good
seat
here.
4.
Yeah, he's going to take it down to showdown.
And check.
Oh, there's a bonus $400 for him, Mark.
Favourite hands. They're right next to a power card.
255 the profit, 405 in total in the middle there.
He's going to be happy with how that hand worked out. Didn't improve and took down the pot.
If I could play poker against anyone, heads up, who would it be? Jeez.
I might just say Phil Hellmuth because I just think it'd be absolutely hilarious. Like, I think he is the greatest thing to happen to poker and it'd just be so much fun.
My sister, because she has many good talents, and in poker I'm crushing her, so I would love to play her heads up in poker.
The owner of Cirque du Soleil Guy La Liberté, just because he's got a lot of money. He's not that great at poker, but mostly he's just a great character. He seems like a lot of fun, he seems to love the game, and I think that's what it's all about, so I think it'd be him.
Without a question, the only people that I would want to play poker with are people that I have ulterior motives to playing with, because I'm quite a charming guy. I do look a bit like a hobo, but I've got a lovely accent when I'm in America.
I guess someone like Taylor Wayne. She's got huge bazookas, big fan of hers, seen lots of her films.
I guess Bill Gates or someone like that, with lots of money and poor skills. I don't know. Easy money, it's always fun.
Straddle seat 6.
We're in a tournament. His excuses are just so funny. He's like, I open. A guy hasn't played in a while, so I think he's going to make a move. Not that he's tired. He's like, a guy hasn't played a hand, so he's ready to make a move.
Yeah, he's about ready.
He 3-bets.
I 3-bet 10-6.
Another old knit 4-bets. I call with a somewhat connected hand, which was 6-9 off. And then a flop.
If you actually transplanted a Martian into this room who'd never played poker, they wouldn't have a clue what they're talking about.
Yeah.
It's his own language, isn't it?
It's like when you see people's updates online and you see their non-poker player friends saying, "What are you talking about?" Like,
Cool, seat 4.
I'd feel to be the new PKR Pro, Simon. Very proud.
the best one is when you write something about tournament chips and people think it's actually real money that you've won. Like, yeah, I just won a 4 million chip pot or something. That's always good.
That would be nice.
Yeah, that's always good.
You had to buy a round.
Yeah, it doesn't usually happen unless you're Phil Ivey. Well, we're five-handed here.
One of your duties, buying rounds.
Everyone loosening up a little bit. King high board.
Check seat 4, check seat 5.
Yeah, I like Mark's hand best here.
Check seat 6. Check seat 1, check seat 3.
Ooh.
So now, trips for Gledhill.
And for Simon.
1, 2,
Chase
5,
10.
seat 4, pass seat 5.
Oh, this is going to be a bit of a train wreck, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think Mark can fold. Oh wow, he's made the fold here. Spade as well. Scott's not going anywhere.
Call seat 1.
I've got a
Pass,
really
seat
awkward call
3.
going on where I just spaz my chips.
Is it your?
Well, it needs to be a highish card to chop this. Or, of course, a board pairer. And that's not it. So Gledhill's kicker plays.
Seat 4.
It's these spots I wish I knew how to play the game. I'm like, am I meant to bet? What do you think? What do you have?
Is
Yes,
he
Scott.
possibly wary of the flush, Scott, here or not?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a little bit worried because he knows that Simon's capable of check raising him with a big hand. But in this case, he has to bet, and it's a spot where Simon's just in check call mode.
Yeah, the nature of the board rather restricted Hemsworth's losses a little bit there.
I mean, it's hard for Scott to put him on a flush just because of there was no action on the flop, so it's hard for him to determine his hand.
So no joy for Hemsworth there. I don't think it'll bother him too much. He's extremely experienced. We had a chat with him before he sat down.
I prefer online because that's kind of what I've always done. It's what I've know well. It's what I've kind of learnt to try and be good at. Live is sort of something I'm just recently trying to get into a bit more, and I went in thinking it would be a lot easier than it is, but I feel like I'm learning quite a lot. I've done probably 60 tournaments in my life, which isn't very many, but definitely I can sort of see the improvement each time, so I'm liking it actually more as I play more live, so maybe that big result is coming soon. You know, I'd like to go far in a tournament, which as much as requires being good at poker, it also requires quite a lot of luck. My Masters win was my biggest ever score. It was my biggest win in a day. It was $25,000. Coming first in anything feels really good. And I think I played quite well, obviously got lucky too, but yeah, that was a good achievement for me. I feel very lucky and proud to be part of the Team PKR Pros. It's something I sort of, when I first joined the site, I saw that there was this group of players that were getting, you know, playing a lot of live events. Yeah, we're really happy and I'm looking forward to it.
Your
Interesting, he was talking about the skill-luck ratio, Scott. I mean, it's an age-old argument, but if you had to put a percentage on it...
Yeah, I know. I've been waiting for him.
What, I'm winning any given tournament?
Well, just kind of, you know, how much is skill and how much is luck. I've heard people say it's 80-20, it's 70-30, it's 90-10.
I think in the short term, like one hand, one tournament, it's a lot higher number.
Right.
But in the long term, it's a very small number, I feel. Like the more you play, the more you're going to iron out that number more to being skill-related.
What was that classic Gary Player quote, the marvellous South African golfer? The more I practice, the luckier I get.
Yeah. I like that.
160, seat 5.
Yeah, it's like instant as well.
Pass, seat 1.
Maybe think he's 7 queen.
Look at this from Chantler. King 3, raise 160. And Simon is not a believer.
Pass, seat 5.
Nah, he's going to show the deuce. Could see that was coming when he looked back at his cards. Which one's the deuce?
Hemsworth showing that Chantler's not the only one who can stick chips in with very average cards. That's a nice little move from Simon.
If you're watching Dapper Dan, write in the forums about why you folded. We want to know.
You can make it, right?
Is that a seat 2?
I think that's like pushing it a bit. If you shove, then you own me. That's embarrassing.
55, seat 3.
Nice looking hand here for Will, the King 10 of spades.
Call, seat 4. Pass, seat 5. Pass, seat 6. 225, seat 1.
Nicer hand here for Scott though.
Pass, seat 2.
Price of poker just went up. 225 the raise.
Yeah, Will's tempted along. See if Simon.
Is that a bit loose? So he players at home thinking, hang on, King 10 to a big raise. Is that a bit loose, Scott?
I mean, it depends on the stack size, I feel. I mean, I'm not sure who's the effective stack here, but if they're deep enough, that's fine to peel King 10 of spades in position. If you're confident playing post flop, which Will definitely is, then albeit.
375, seat 1.
Sure, Scott's going to be happy that he's peeled and not hit his 3-outer though. Might not have been if it came 10 high.
Pass.
Yeah, nowhere to go really, unless he fancied a serious big bluff. Shows him the cards as well.
Yeah, it's hard for Will to do anything there. He's not even got backdoor spades to look for.
I think I've
So
heard
Red Hill takes down the pot, and he's up to 3,025. That's an excellent comeback. The story continues in just a moment. You're watching the PKR London cash game from the English capital. Let's show you where we are in terms of chips here. Chantler 2,000 plus ahead. Will Dorey doing very nicely also, 1245 to the good. Gledhill, although he's recovered some of those earlier losses, is right back in the saddle now. Hemsworth is up nearly 400. And Lovgren is the big loser at the table.
We've got 25, we paid 500 for 19.
Barely has the button here.
He just plays with himself for a minute.
Battle from Dorey, which means Hemsworth first to act. And with Cowboys. Must be nice.
60, seat 4.
Call,
seat 5, pass, seat 6. Pass, seat 1.
Broadway cards out there.
Yeah, Turbo. 5 seconds stack.
Be interested if Will just flats.
Call,
Yeah, he's going to just flat by the looks of it. Unfortunately for Simon.
He's just looking forward to his minute at the end.
Full house now.
Check, seat 3.
Yeah, I don't see Mark winning this hand very often. Have to find the old queen.
80, seat 4, pass, seat 5.
Now, Dorey's considering this because
Calls.
he knows there are all kinds of cards that Hemsworth could have to make that bet. Nowhere near as strong as he is necessarily. Well, there would have been one of the first two queens.
Yeah, you can see Mark's not really happy now, but
He won't be if we see another one on the river, that's for sure.
oh yeah.
What's the favourite?
Yeah, you can't blame Will for peeling here. I think Simon and the 6-handed table is going to be opening quite a wide range under the gun, and Ace Jack can beat a lot of that range.
I think Las Vegas.
130.
It's like
Now comes the real decision.
Casinos, lot of poker, money games, and
It's kind of relatively cheap. It's kind of asking
Yes.
asking him to call this.
Yeah, it is actually a really small bet. I just noticed that.
Periods of months on end.
Yeah, but I'd have to knock
Tone
her
it
out.
down.
Yeah.
Pass.
Bahamas is very nice too with the sea. And
Yeah, good fold.
I need one of those patches.
I think sometimes, Scott, a small bet like that can almost look more suspicious than what you
it's-
might think a standard amount would be.
It's usually when it's really small bet. It's usually either something really strong or something really weak.
Yeah.
It's like they're taking a small stab at it, or maybe they're just inducing you with a big hand. Does set alarm bells off for different reasons though.
Yeah.
Usually.
3 weeks.
Are you playing
Hopefully longer if I
win?
Pass,
play main events. So
seat 5, pass, seat
Just
6.
checking each other's diaries for future engagements.
55, seat 1. Pass, seat 2.
Can be a glamorous life being a poker pro. You get to see parts of the planet you maybe wouldn't otherwise.
Pass.
Yeah, I've done my fair bit of travelling. I mean, I'm quite a homebody and get quite homesick when I'm away, but Vegas is one place I don't really get homesick, surprisingly.
You and me both.
6-side events.
6.
Bit of a rag board here, Jack high.
Check 4, check 1.
Sorry?
You're going to sell a little bit.
Hemsworth has picked
You're
up a
gonna
piece
sell
of it.
little bit.
Yeah, gonna imagine he's gonna lead this turn.
Main event.
Once Scott checks back the turn. I mean, checks back the flop, sorry.
Drum up some business here by the sound of it.
75,
Oh, yeah, we always
seat
buy
4.
these.
He's gonna pick it
Pass.
up. Yeah.
Nice and easy for Hemsworth, who's suddenly adding significant numbers of chips to his stack. There are some really good poker minds around this table, so it should be good to check them out for advice.
I think the best bit of advice you can give to someone who's starting out is to play. I think there's no other way to learn the game better than playing and getting the experience yourself.
You need to master the more boring things that are like bankroll management, being disciplined, playing in good games, and things like that, as well as just constantly trying to learn to be better, because the game's always evolving, it's always getting more difficult, and if you don't keep ahead of that curve, you're just going to fall behind, and suddenly, you know, you're not winning at the game anymore.
Looks very glamorous on TV, you see all these guys flying around the world playing tournaments, but in fact it's a lot tougher than it sounds, and you've got to have a lot of mental aptitude to hack it. There's a lot of downswings. You'll have times where you just think you just want to give up and quit and run away, not whinge like I do, and moan and cry, and then you'll be good, unlike me.
Straddle seat 5.
About buying stuff.
Talking of buying stuff, anyone buy any of James?
One of the things I often do, especially when I'm not playing particularly well, Scott, which is most of the time, is I try and get someone I trust to just either look over my shoulder, whether it's literally or not, and just say, well, maybe, you know, have you considered you doing that? Maybe wrong or whatever. Do you guys kind of share information between you, give each other advice if you're going through a bad run?
Yeah, I think talking through hands is a great way to not only learn, but just to see if you're just see other people's opinions on stuff, because there's always different ways to go about things in poker. So I think discussing hands is definitely one of the best things to do in order to improve your game, definitely.
Thing is, because Kai's in the other room,
Look at this from Dorey. 7-3 makes it 165. And Mark is going to keep him honest here. If it comes 3 hearts, we're going to have fireworks.
No, I can sell it on.
Oh, he's taking the lead. Not for long. Oh, God.
Wow. So 2 pair for Dorey, top pair for the Frenchman, although no kicker to go with it. 360 in there, and the action is on wheel.
185, seat 3. Call, seat 6.
That's going to add to Mark's outs now.
Yep. 4 would make him the wheel.
Yeah, he's got 4s, deuces and 5s and aces on his side.
But Dorey still a big favourite, as you can see by those percentages, and a big pot as well. Can't see Mark getting away, certainly not until the river's down.
Yeah, it's actually a really good card for Will in that respect. That there might have been a lot of turns that Mark would have folded to, but I feel here he might have to continue.
435.
He's got to consider what kind of hand would he be putting Dorey on here.
I mean, when Will free bets, he's free bet from the small blind, so you got to think that there's not going to be a massive range compared to maybe when he's free betting the button in position. But to bet 2 streets as well, I'm sure that Mark's narrowing down his range a bit further now.
Well, this is a really big pot building.
Brick on the river. Interested to see Will's bet size here.
Well, he must know Aurelio's got something.
Yeah, I think it's easy to determine Mark's hand more than Will's hand. I think Mark's got a lot of... Oh, he shoved it here.
All in C3.
Don't think Mark wanted to hear those 2 words.
Yeah, I think Mark's got a little bit less than pot back. So it was about 1400 to bet.
I mean, he's got to consider what is he beating here. Obviously, he beats a bluff. He beats, I don't know, pocket queens. Not much else.
Yeah, I mean, he can beat a big pair that's turned its hand into a bluff, like jacks or better, for example. Can beat a flush draw. But it's the fact that he's free bet pre, I think, that's going to help him narrowing down his range.
This is a long dwell up. He's seriously considering calling this.
You're going to show a bluff again.
He's not, Mark.
I beat only a bluff.
Yeah, he knows that as well. He only beats a bluff.
It's a hard man to get any kind of a read off Will Dorey.
Yeah. What we picked up on earlier, that his presence is really good.
Well, saves himself a lot of money in the end. Dorey not showing the 2 pair. And that's a really good pot, and Dorey is way ahead now. He and Chantler are the big winners here. And plenty for Barry to ponder. We'll have more cash action coming up in just a minute. Welcome back to the PKR London Cash Game.
Pass, seat 1.
Just saw a very large pot going the way of Will Dorey. Still stacking them. It's always nice when you haven't got much room to see your cards because your stack is overflowing in front of you.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have.
I think I can remember it happening once, a long time ago. 6s for Sofia, and she'll take down a very small one. And we can get a bit more information now from the girl from Sweden, still just 23. Frightening.
I don't play that much live cash games, but when I play, I used to play $2 $5 blinds. I'm definitely playing more live tournaments nowadays. I played very much online, so I have a lot of online experience. I won the first free roll I ever played, and it was 400 entrants, so it was very exciting. I grew up with 2 brothers, and we always competed about everything. And I'm very competitive in myself. I'm very patient, and I think I'm good to read my opponents. And I'm working on my game all the time, and I feel that I have been very close to a deep run lately in a big live tournament, so I'm looking to get a really big score soon.
I bet her brothers don't take her on at poker anymore. It wouldn't be a good move, would it?
Yeah, I can't imagine her losing many home games.
No, definitely not. Oh, she's picked up Cowboys.
Seat 2.
Has anyone got anything to take her on with here? King 4 suited for Will. He reckons it's cheap enough to have a look.
He's made it to 175.
Oh, he's doing a big re-raise. Okay.
I was thinking about it. Thinking down.
Pass seat 5, pass seat 6, pass seat 1.
So do you disguise the strength of your hand here by just calling this? Because if you re-pop it, surely it's saying to Dorey, look, I'm actually not kidding you, I've got the goods.
Yeah, I think in position it's a lot easier to make the call. Out of position, I'm more of a fan of raising, just so that you've got the initiative in the hand, rather than being guessing every street.
7-5, seat 2.
Well, that's what she's done.
Plus they are deep enough for Will not to just fold his hand now. He may try something creative.
This does look creative, or is he just calling here?
This looks like 625 now.
625.
Yeah.
There's definitely a job as a dealer waiting for you when you stop playing, Scott. A little bit of Hollywood from Sofia. Well, she's got the right name for it.
Yeah, I think now it's a decision whether she wants to just get it in or maybe call if she feels that Will's bluffing.
What is 1,000 plus already? And she said all in, and that was the end of that. He had 2 goes at trying to buy it, and then realised that actually King 4 was never going to work.
Yeah, you can see she's a little upset now. She knows that he probably had absolute air. And
Yeah.
that she...
Well, that's some real bonus money for Sofia.
He had to try the 5-bet bluff at some point.
Solo seat 3.
It's just so nice when you actually get value for the big hands. You don't get too many hands like aces, kings, when you actually get paid for them.
Yeah, you just need someone with 7 deuce to go a bit nuts.
Yeah.
Right,
Ashley
place.
Hames, if you didn't see one of our previous shows, went all in with 7 deuce against Scott, and Scott had the bullets, and thank you very much.
Everyone wants to see Hames.
Yeah, not even a sweat, if I recall.
No.
And he was like,
No.
playing like 70%
Well,
hands. It's really good.
she's printing her own pairs at the moment. 8s this time.
He's playing 70% of hands as well, but he just had 70%. Yeah.
You weren't playing like a
Check
7
seat
game
2.
or anything.
We tried, but apparently not.
75, seat 5.
Mark wouldn't be Mark if he didn't have a bet at it, but the fact that the board's paired means Lovgren can be more confident that her 8s are good.
Oh,
definitely now.
Yeah, even more so now.
Check seat 5.
And that's actually a great card because it's given Mark some equity. So if he does hit, she'll get paid. But unfortunately, he didn't.
Yeah, if he'd made the straight there, that could have been extreme trouble. Do you sit at home practicing your riffling like that, Scott?
I don't practice it at home, but
Right.
I am quite active with my chips at the
Okay.
table, yeah.
Okay.
I think I used to. I used to have a pile of chips when I used to play online and sit there just riffling maybe sometimes.
You don't do the old chip trick thing, do you?
Which one?
The one where it rolls across your knuckles.
I'm pretty bad at it. I can sort of do it. Depends what day you catch me.
Well, these guys, of course, and girls are all pros. What would they do if they weren't sitting around this table?
If you weren't a professional poker player, what do you think you'd be doing for a living?
Porn actor. I really couldn't say, to be honest with you. You've put me on the spot. I really couldn't think of anything I could be doing.
Okay.
It's worrying.
It sounds really silly, but I want to get into the movie business. not as an actor or anything, just developing and producing, because that's what I studied at college.
I love design, and I would maybe be a designer, I think.
Misha Barton, Keira Knightley and Mila Kunis. I think I've got a shot, man.
Do you get paid for sleeping anywhere? Because I'd be top draw. I'm the Ivy of sleeping.
Well, I do hear that poker players don't generally get out of bed till lunchtime-ish.
Yeah, I'd say the general waking up time for an average poker player would be like 2 p.m.
Okay.
Or they might be still up from the night before celebrating a win or something.
Most of us have been at work for 5 hours by 2 p.m. I could kind of see Sofia as a designer. I'm not sure I could see James as kind of Steven Spielberg II, but...
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Nor could I see him with any of the actresses he was mentioning.
Definitely not. Couple of kings on board here.
Seat 3. Checks.
Dorey's made 2 pair. Mark is going to take the lead.
80, seat 6.
Should say just literally a couple of hands left. We're racing against the clock here till the end of this cash game.
Call, seat 1. Pass, seat 3.
Well, best hand folded.
Yeah, I was like, quite surprised there as well.
Check. Seat 6. 225, seat 1. Seat 6 passed.
So no dramas there. Gledhill got the bet through. Certainly recovered some of the losses that he suffered earlier in the game.
Yeah, second session going much better for him.
Oh, I'm sick of this. Like, I'm sick of you racing this. 400.
They all know, of course, that the last hand's coming up shortly, so we might get some fast and loose action.
I'm sick of you racing me. God damn it.
Pass, seat 1.
400. You raced.
Oh, man.
Last
60,
time there was no
seat 2.
pre-warns or anything. Will was going to fall for sure now. No, your cards were like here, and they were at last time, and you brought them all the way back.
Pass, seat 4.
Sure.
Call,
God, I gotta
seat
get
5.
400 back.
Pass,
Yeah, do
seat
you want a blind
6.
bet 400 on the flop? Yeah.
6.
So close.
Seat 5, check.
Look at this, Chantler's flopped the straight.
I love the way he asked for the 400 blind bet, knowing that he's going to flop the absolute joint.
Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
Seat 2.
He's obviously psychic. Unfortunately for him, Lovgren's got nothing, but she has led out at this, and he's now thinking, well, what's the best way to extract the maximum from this? He's going to just call, surely.
Yeah, I feel cool's definitely the... Oh, he's going to...
Reaching for raising chips.
265, seat 5. Pass,
Oh my
seat
God.
2.
Is this the last time?
Easiest decision she's ever had to make. And he shows the straight. He only got $170 for it. It might have been a lot more. No chance, of course, that Sofia was ever going to call that. Let's have a look then at the final chip stacks here. Chantler, nearly $2,000 to the good. He's played really, really well. Dorey, 1,200 up. Gledhill recovered a lot of those early losses. And Hemsworth, he had a very profitable session as well. Let's go down and join Laura.
And with that, play is over here at the PKR.com London cash game. Now, Mark, you finished there with quite a healthy profit. Was it a smooth run for you?
No, I ran pretty good at the beginning, but then I made the big mistake of trying to bluff Sofia, which didn't work out too well, but no, it was really good fun, so...
You enjoyed the day?
Yeah. Really enjoyed myself.
Good, good. Well, Mark, of course, is not the only winner. Let's take a look at today's player standings. Languishing in last, Jason Chilmaid and Ashley Hames all-in escapades didn't go according to plan, with each of them taking an early bow. Despite buying back in, Sofia Lovgren couldn't turn her luck around and finishes the day with a loss. Daniel Musa likewise couldn't quite reduce his deficit with a rebuy, but faring better, Scott Gledhill and Ross Jarvis pulled a small profit from their day's grind. As we get to the top though, the numbers rise considerably. Misters Chantler, Shelley and Sudworth all came close to doubling their money, but in a league of his very own with nearly 3,500 in profit, Bain walks away a clear champion. Well, that's all we have time for here today. A big thank you to all of our players and, of course, a massive congratulations to Vladimir Geschenbein, who is our undisputed winner here at the PKR.com London Cash Game. From all of us, goodbye.